if you may. Mr. Mokua, where did we go wrong? The dream was there. Like looking at what, I mean, he's taken us through all the different administrations and the different, iterations of the Kenyan dream, so to speak. But what happened to the original? Umaskini, ujinga, as Kenyatta called it, and magonjwa. What happened to that Kenyan dream? What happened to that dream cabinet, the dream team, the cream of the crop of this country? And we've seen that over and over. 2002, the dream of NARC, the coalition to beat all coalitions. Every Kenyan dream was invested in that. Top brains. What happened to it?
Before I address that again, he's raised an issue. Professor Wola being a teacher, he likes raising critical issues. Right now, if you go to Kencom with a placard written MBA, you will get 50 guys showing up because of poor employment opportunities. But that is credit because of the levels of education. In 1970, we had 2 universities in Kenya, the University of Nairobi and USIU. Obviously, USIU was not USIU, but it was USIU. But according to the government authorities, as of last year, we have 64 universities. So 1970, you have 2, you have 64 universities. It means they're producing graduates in truckloads. In earlier years, a Form 4 graduate would get a high-paying job at a bank. Now, if you go to Form 6, it becomes better. But if you go to university, even before you graduate, actually, on average, especially for people who used to do BCom at the University of Nairobi, before you graduate, you already have 3 employment letters. You have 3 offers because the market is scrambling for you because we didn't have sufficient human capital. But now we've got an oversupply of human capital. So again, depending on where you sit, you may see it as a problem or you may see it as a challenge or a solution. However, you raise a very critical issue. That where did we go wrong? First of all, for President Kenyatta, he ensured that in his cabinet,
Kenyatta won that.
Yeah, Kenyatta won.
Yes.
That there was a meritocracy. And even then, the people who were elected to positions of responsibilities, outside being representatives, they were actually leaders. I can go to the top of Mount Kenya today, or even Mount Kilimanjaro or Everest, and suggest that the challenge you have in Kenya today is a leadership crisis. It's a leadership crisis.
Tell us more about that.
Yeah, it's a leadership crisis.
Why do you say that?
First of all, we elect people, representatives, who have not demonstrated capacity nor competence in anything, apart from using resources for Arambes. Because right now you get a 20-year-old man in your village, if he's got money and he goes to a funeral or he goes to Arambe, he will be referred to as Mzee. He will be given the seat in the middle of the church and he will be given the microphone to address the audience. There are people who have got a very clean record of stealing public resources. Those are the people we elect to the National Assembly, and then you expect them to perform miracles. You recall Dr. Fred Matiang'i at some stage when he was a cabinet secretary for Interior, and now he has declared that he wants to become president. He warned Kenyans there are a number of people who are offering themselves to be elected to the National Assembly and Senate. They have got questionable records. They've got criminal records. A number of them have been associated with wash. Now, these are the guys you elect to the National Assembly. These are the guys you elect to the Senate. And then you expect miracles to come from them. Number 3, majority of the people we elect into office today, they don't have capacity to serve. In other countries like India, South Korea, and Germany, you are told that if you want to serve the public, join the public sector. If you want to make money, go to the private sector. But if you look at the list of Kenya's millionaires, if you look at the list of Kenya's billionaires, there's a dotted link to the public sector. Majority of the millionaires and billionaires in Kenya, either they've been public servants, they've been politicians, or they are closely related to politics. There's nobody who has harnessed the factors of production on his own motion to make this kind of resources. Now, majority of the people now then occupy leadership positions in Kenya, policy-making positions in Kenya, decision-making positions in Kenya. use their positions as a factor of production. You may be asking yourself, take an example of an MCA. Before an election, this MCA cannot afford a cup of tea at a 5-star hotel in Nairobi. That is before an election. They cannot afford a cup of tea at a 5-star hotel in Nairobi. 1 year later, not only can they afford a cup of tea at a 5-star hotel, they can actually buy the 5-star hotel. Mm-hmm. And they've not harnessed the factors of production. As President Kibaki would say, all of a sudden, they become very clever, that within 1 year, they've transformed their socio-economic status. Then you wonder, if within 1 year, you have transformed your socio-economic status, how come you're not using that knowledge to transform Kenya as a nation? Do you know the Kenyan Constitution provided for Article 10 and Chapter 6